Hello viewers, welcome to virtual class and today we are here with another topic, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. This is your chapter from class 12 NCERT book, chapter number 2, and this is the first part of the video where we have covered the topic up to embryo sac. So without delaying, let's start the chapter. So first we have to know the parts of the flower because this chapter is all about sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So the male organ of a flower is called stamen where we have anther and filament. The male organ helps in making male gametes of the plant. Now let's come to female organ. The female organ of a flower is called carpel or pistil. The term pistil is used in a similar manner to carpel. So don't get confused between pistil or carpel. These two means the same, that is your female organ. So here we have stigma, style and ovary. So the female organ helps in making female gametes or egg cell. And then comes the petal, which is the colored part of a flower. This attracts insect. Then comes sepal. The sepal is usually in green color and this ensures the protection to flower. So now let's come to the another topic, that is your androecium. Androecium is a male reproductive part of a flower, as I have already mentioned about stamen in our previous slide. So it is the third word. So the third word indicates your stamen, and if you don't know what this word is, so the word in a flower means the set of organs, especially the petals and sepals, which are arranged concentrically around the receptacle. So I have already mentioned that stamen comprises of two parts, which is anther and filament. Anther, this is your four-lobed sac-like structure which is responsible for pollen formation. I have inserted a picture of anther and whorl in the next slide. So please clear your doubts regarding these words with that picture. So here pollens are produced by meiosis and disappear eventually. Now comes filament. The filament are thread-like structures and are attached to anther and they keep the anther in place. Now comes to another topic, what is gynoecium. So gynoecium is the female reproductive organ and the last whorl. The last whorl means or indicates about the pistil of the flower. So I have already mentioned that pistil is comprised of sigma, style and ovary, and the pistil occupies the central position of the thallus. The ovary produces ovules internally, but in case of androecium, anther is produced externally. So ovules, through meiosis, ovules produce megaspores, which in turn develops into female gametophytes. As a result, egg cells are produced. In this slide, I have inserted the definition of different parts of the flower, which is important in your exam point of view. They may ask you one mark questions like what is style, what is stamen, so you can write these answers. Points that need to be highlighted in this chapter is that all flowering plants are known as angiosperms and the non-flowering plants is known as gymnosperms. Flowers are morphological and embryological marvels and the sites of sexual reproduction. In a plant, the flower is the main site of a sexual reproduction and the morphology of flower is already explained in our previous video. If you have doubt regarding morphology of flowers, you can have a look in that previous video. So I have already explained third point that the androecium is your male reproductive part and gynoecium is your female reproductive part. So equally all the parts of a flower are important. They have different functions. So comes to the most important parts of the flowers are anthers, which contain pollen grain, and the pistil, which receives the pollen grain, and then the style take it to the ovary and male and female nuclei fuse to form zygote. So there are some following parts which flower consists, that is your first one is your calyx. So calyx, it is the outermost whorl. I have already explained you what is whorl in the previous slide. So the members are termed as sepals. You know what is sepals? I have also explained you what is sepal. Sepal ensures the protection of a flower. So in the bud stage, calyx encloses the rest of the flower. That is, it gives the protection to the flower during the young stage of a flower, that is known as bud stage. So they usually exhibit green colorations, and this term is also known as petaloid. Calyx can either be prominent or absent. Then comes to corolla. So corolla, it consists many numbers of petals, and it is a second whorl of the flower, that is whorl before calyx. So these petals are sometimes fragrant. That means it has a perfume or scent. They are colored. They are colored because they attract insects towards them. They are thin and soft. That would help in the process of pollination, as they would attract animals and insects. So corolla is basically termed as, or the members of corolla is termed as petals. They are very bright colored and they attract insects for pollinations. So coming to the next topic, that is your pre-fertilization structure and event. So the first one is your stamen. The stamen is the pollen producing reproductive organ of a flower, and this is collectively known as androecium. So I have already said that stamen comprises of two parts, that is your filament and anther. Your anther is bilobe structure and filament is the long and slender stalk. And the number and the length of stamens are variable in flowers. They aren't same in every flower. They differ according to different species. So a typical angiosperm anther is bilobed, with each lobe having two theca. So as they have two theca, they are known as diathecaous. And the anther is a four-sided, that is known as tetragonal structure, which consists of four microsporangia at the corners in each lobe. So in this slide you will see the photo of a microsporangia. The anther is the breeding portion of stamen. Each anther is connected by two lobes. Each anther lobe comprises two pollen chambers placed longitudinally. The microsporangium is filled with a number of pollen microspores. Now coming to pollen grain develop inside the microsporangia. The pollen grains have two-layered wall, the outer exine and the inner intine. The exine is made up of sporopollenin and intine is made up of pectose and cellulose. Pollen grains may have two cells, a vegetative cell and a generative cell, or three cells, a vegetative cell and two male gametes. At the time of shading, pollen grains are shaded at the two-cell stage. Vegetative cell forms the pollen tube that delivers the sperm to the embryo sac, and the generative cell forms two sperm cells. See now the structure of microsporangia. Microsporangia consists of tapetum. The cells are multinucleate, and this layer is one of the innermost layer of the wall, and it nourishes the pollen grain. Then the middle layer is composed of 3 to 4 layers of thin-walled cell. They are situated just below the endothelium. Endothecium is the inner layer to the epidermis, and the epidermis is the protective outermost single layer. Now formation of pollen grains. The formation of pollen grain is the young anther soon becomes four-lobed, as it comprises of a homogeneous mass of parenchymatous cells surrounded by the epidermis. Each archisporal initial present in hypodermal cell divides into the inner primary sporongenous cell and outer primary parietal cell. Each primary sporongenous cell divides to produce microsporocytes. Each microspore mother cells divides mutically to form pollen grains. And in the next slide, I have inserted the diagram of a pollen grain development. So microgametogenesis means micro is male, gametogenesis means formation of gametes. So development of male gametophyte. Microspore is partially developed at this stage and it is the first cell of male gametophyte. The wall of pollen grain is made up of exine and intine, as I have already explained. And exine is made up of sporopollenin and the inner layer, which is intine, is made up of pectose and cellulose. Now come to pre-pollination development. The microspore starts germinating in situ. In situ means its original place. A smaller generative cell lies next lying spore wall and a cellulose or callose layer is placed around the generative cell. The callose layer then dissolves, then the pollen grains are shed from the anther. The liberated pollen grains are transferred to the stigma through pollination. The pollen grains present on stigma absorbs water and swells within a few minutes. And the pollination is usually done by insects, bird, water or air. And stigma is a very sticky surface. Once the pollen grain is dropped in the stigma, it sticks. And then stigma absorbs water and swells within a few minutes. So the wall of pollen tube secretes hydrolytic enzymes and the exogenous pectinase to create a passage for its entry. The generative and vegetative are carried by the pollen tube. The generative cell divides to form two non-motile male gametes. Then tube nucleus may degenerate as there is no important function. So coming to the topic structure of megasporangium or ovule, I have inserted the structure of a megasporangium. So ovule is the structure inside the ovary where megaspores formation takes place. So there are internal structure of the ovule which consists of the following parts. The first one is a funicle, that is a stalk that attached ovule to placenta. Hilum is a junction between ovule and funicle. Integuments is one or many protective envelopes around ovule. Micropyle is a small opening at the tip of integument. Chalaza is a basal part of ovule. Nucellus is a mass of cell enclosed within integuments used for food storage, and the embryo sac is a female gametophyte located in nucellus. Coming to the megasporogenesis, formation of megaspore, that is a female gametophyte, is termed as megasporogenesis. Megaspores are formed inside megasporangium. Ovules differentiate to form one megaspore mother cell, that is your MMC, which undergoes meiosis. So after it undergoes meiosis, 4 haploid megaspores are formed, and out of 4, only one develops into female gametophyte and others degenerate. Only the basal megaspore remains functional and develops into female gametophyte. So this process of formation of embryo sac from a single megaspore is termed as monosporic development. Now following changes lead to monosporic development. So the first, nucleus undergoes mitotic division. It doesn't go meiotic, it goes mitotic division and it forms 2 nucleate embryo sac. Then again it goes mitotic division, then it forms 4 nucleate embryo sac, and then again it undergoes again mitotic divisions and form 8 nucleate embryo sac, and the embryo sac is formed. Now cell formation or cell wall formation takes place and embryo sac is formed. The nuclei formed inside get rearranged to form the final structure of embryo sac. So embryo sac is 7-celled but 8 nucleate. Embryo sac. The female gametophyte of a seed plant consisting of a thin-walled sac within the nucellus that contains the egg nucleus and other nuclei which give rise to endosperm on fertilization. So in this video we have covered the embryo sac, and in the next part we will start with fertilization. So up to here, if you have any doubt regarding any topic, you can comment down your doubts and we will try our best to clear your doubts.
So if you enjoyed this video and if you found it useful, please do like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you.